Hello America, this is Call of Duty Goddess. Today is June the 15th, 2016. I'd like to do a final video on the Orlando shooting, and I'd like to get your opinion. I'd like to hear your opinion. It's very important to me, and I just want to give you mine. So let's keep it nice, let's keep it clean, because in the end, we're all on the same team. So, I'd like to start out with this photograph here. This looks to be somewhere near the Pulse nightclub. And you see a bunch of EMT things. And I want to tell you, I'm not a reporter, never claimed to be one. I'm not a journalist, never aspired to be either one of the like. I'm just a mom, doing my best. I just want to find the truth to things. I make mistakes. I'm not well versed in many things, but I'm learning. But there are some things that I feel strongly about, just like everyone else does. And if you want to convince me otherwise, you're going to have to show me proof just like I show you proof. I do videos. I try to cut them down with the least amount of rants that I possibly can. I spend a lot of time editing to cut out my rants. Boy, you should hear my videos before I edit them. Anyway, if you want to convince me of something, show me a video. Cut it down like I do. Spend a little bit of time on it. Do the research. It helps when you're trying to tell people something. Sometimes it doesn't. You could show them everything in the book and they're not going to believe you or whatever, and that's okay, because that's what makes the world go round, people being different. So this looks like to be somewhere near the Pulse nightclub. I am looking at a 7-Eleven and a 7-Eleven sign here. So the nearest 7-Eleven is 1823 South Orange Avenue. At Google Earth here, this is 1800, so I'm thinking the 7-Eleven is somewhere around here. I'm assuming. I could be wrong though. I'm not from there. I'm thinking they are right around in here, in this area here. Not sure though. So that would mean here is Dunkin' Donuts, here's the Pulse nightclub, okay? Radio Shack, and the Foot and Ankle place here. So we have kind of a layout here, so we can look at the pictures. Now that we have an idea of where we are here, let's check out some other photographs, and I'm just going to try to wing them out and explain them to you. They're not going to be in any kind of order. So this looks to be the nightclub, and you'll see the wet spots here. Some blood, looks like some not. Looks like windows were shot through or whatever. Now this photograph looks to be a photograph of the parking lot again, but it looks as though it may have been, I don't know, either something leaking out, looks to be blood there, but it looks like they've tried to squirt it down, keep it clean possibly. They're wearing these hazmat suits. And this one looks to me as if it were freshly hosed down, especially if it were hot there during the day. It would have been freshly hosed down. So to me, I'm thinking that they regularly hose down this parking lot, possibly to keep down blood-borne pathogens. More pictures. Here's a picture of a guy throwing away the hazmat suits. Okay, so this guy, you see him bloody. Here is that MRI center. And I'm thinking that they had a triage center here. And I'll show you some, I'll see if I can find that picture to show you why I think that. And here is the mobile command center right here. Doesn't look like, I don't know, maybe there's someone driving there. I'm not really sure. It looks like it's at a standstill. It looks like this road here is at a total standstill, but I'm thinking they brought people from the nightclub. They kept the serious injuries here in the parking lot, and I think, and I'm just assuming this because I wasn't there, I could be wrong, I'm thinking they took the less serious injuries over to here to keep them away from seeing the traumatic injuries. But hey, that's just me. You see this here. And here is a picture of an emergency service unit. That was earlier in the morning. And keep in mind, here's a Dunkin' Donuts, there's the Pulse nightclub. So it looks as though to me, a lot of people were taken to that area where the Dunkin' Donuts is. These are bullet holes that look like to me they were shot into. Maybe I had heard someone had told me that the guy tried to climb out a wall that was the killer. I think he tried to get away with his fellow killers, because I do think there were more than one. I really do. Here's the photo of the 7-Eleven. So you see these large tents here as well. They had them set up everywhere. Obviously, here's another victim. So you see where I'm getting at. I do believe it happened. And if you don't think so, that's okay. You can believe what you want to believe. But in looking at these photos that I searched and spent hours looking for, I think that it did happen. And saying that, I do believe that it was definitely a psychological operation. At first, I didn't think it was. But now that I've looked at the pictures, looked at some videos, I feel it definitely is a psychological operation, because a psyop is the dissemination of truthful information to foreign audiences in support of U.S. policy and national objectives. The national objective of our country right now is gun control. It's not for the Americans, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, because our government is against us. We all know this is for the New World Order, for the gun control. I do believe that this guy was Islamic. I believe he was a Bachabazi victim. I do believe that that is why he is gay, just like our president is. And I do believe that he went in there, shot up the Pulse nightclub after maybe being rejected. Maybe something happened, but it was definitely after he went and saw that imam who said to kill gays. Now, this is definitely a psychological operation, a psyop, because we have an article here, and you can't get any more obvious than this. The United Nations met to disarm American citizens, while the population is focused on ISIS murder. And that is from Lori Anderson, dated June the 14th, 2016. While many people across our union are focused upon the murderous acts of a madman in Florida, CARE has called for better gun control. Now, I want to stop right there and tell you, in a video I did, that this is how they do it. This is, if you watched Oregon, it's how they do all of it to make laws. They make things happen. And I do believe that our government was involved in the murderous acts of what happened in Orlando, whether inadvertently or not, I don't know. But CARE has called for better gun control. The United Nations held the 6th biennial meeting of states to consider the implementation of the program of action to prevent, combat, and eradicate the illicit trade of small arms and light weapons in all its aspects. This meeting was held June 6 through June the 10th, 2016 in New York. And we'll get into this in a later video. But this is the gist of everything. We all knew it. I don't even need to talk about this, but this is for gun control as they arm ISIS in the Middle East. I've showed videos of the boxes of missiles and guns that they dropped off in the Middle East. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of them. I've talked about how we armed ISIS across the border in Mexico. ISIS is the CIA. It was created by them. It was started out with the Mujahideen, moved up to the Taliban, and changed names all along the line. But for years we've been training and arming them. And it's for the New World Order. It is the New World Order, the secret societies, the UN, they're all using Islam as an excuse to create Sharia law throughout the Western world and take it down. I don't know how many times I've said it, so I'll just say it again. Anyway, that's my take on this, and please give me yours. This is Call of Duty Goddess signing off, and as always, I'll leave the links below, and I've got your 6.